Hello, my people. Welcome to another episode of the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm your host, Earl Christian III, of course. And today we're going to talk about a very serious situation, our health. Many of us want to be healthy. We like to eat healthy, or we would like to eat healthy, but we sometimes always don't. We may not know the right things to eat, how we should consume them, how much we should consume, how much we shouldn't. Well, today might have a very special guest who's going to talk about something that's really serious, a silent epidemic, obesity, and how it leads to diabetes. I'm very happy to have this gentleman. You're going to see a few things. You may see a slight demonstration on how you can just be more physically fit and healthy as far as your mind, your spirit, and your body. But I'm going to let him get into it. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Sifu Cecil. Sifu Cecil, how are you, brother?
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I'm very happy that you reached out to me to be a part of the project, especially with the topic of we have to deal with health and wellness, because I recently had a show. We did a show on holistic health and wellness, and people really gravitated towards it. And I realized that people really want to know more about how to be healthy, how to live healthy, and what we should eat. And a lot of times we're misrepresented, miseducated on the appropriate foods and how we should live and exist to have a fully effective, balanced body, if you will. So because that's what you do, I'm going to fall back and let you do what you do and start talking to our people and tell me about the silent epidemic, because I realized obesity was serious, but I'm sure it's much more serious than I and probably many of my viewers are aware of.
Okay. What's happening is that this is a systemic problem, and it goes, you see it for yourself as you walk abroad. You see kids already 12, 13, 14 years old at an obese state, meaning that they're literally 50 to 100 pounds overweight. And what happens is that will further lead to diabetes. There's two types of diabetes. There's type 1 and type 2. Type 1, of course, is what they call juvenile diabetes, where that's an autoimmune disease, where the cells in the pancreas are actually killed off by the body's own immune system.
Okay.
The pancreas is what secretes insulin. That's what literally enables your blood sugar to go into the cells where they need it for just regular activity, even thinking. Everything that you do from the time while you're sleeping, you need glucose. When a person doesn't have functioning, what we call, they suffer from insulin resistance,
right.
Okay? There's where you see diabetes kicking in. Obesity, especially when it happens in the core area. You've heard of the apple versus the pear shape.
Yes.
What you have here, you hear the rectus abdominis, which is actually not a six-pack, it's actually an eight-pack.
Okay.
Underneath that, all the way in the back, is your stomach. But in between the rectus abdominis and the stomach, there is literally a visceral fatty tissue called the omentum. What that does, we just found out about this like in the last 15, 20 years. It secretes compounds that contribute to fatty liver, insulin resistance, diabetes, and a host of other things, including high blood pressure. What that does is it chokes off the ability of the pancreas to properly secrete insulin. And this starts, from childhood. If you notice, you're a professional educator, you see what happens in the school system.
Yes.
When early in the morning, kids are having soda for breakfast. Soda, period, should be eliminated. It's sweetened by high fructose corn syrup. That is one of the worst ways to sweeten any type of beverage. Also, soda creates an acidic level in the body, a pH of less than 7.
Yeah, I don't even drink
soda. Okay, beautiful. Because here's what happens. Most infections are more likely to happen in a body that has an acidic state. You want your body to be neutral or over towards an alkaline state. So kids are constantly eating potato chips,
right.
which is what's called, those are very simple starches.
Right.
They cause what's called a glycemic spike.
Wow.
Starches get converted to simple sugars, but it happens in a spike. That's why when people eat a bag of chips, they're satisfied for half an hour.
Right.
Then after that, they get this craving rage.
Right,
because
right.
it's a glycemic spike. The sugar goes up in the bloodstream, and then it's gone. You want to go ahead.
No, I just want to interject. I can attest to me because I love Lay's potato chips. Like, you can't eat
Right.
just one, and I eat a whole bag. That 99 cent
That's
bag.
where you get the
But then
addictive
right
feeling
after,
from.
about like 30 minutes
Because
later,
you
got
crave it
something
again
else.
and
Yeah.
again and again. So what happens is that kids go through a vicious cycle: soda, chips, soda, chips. And when you fill your body with those simple sugars, like not the good simple sugars like we have in honey,
Right.
or even the cane sugar, but the high fructose corn syrup, you create what's called high triglycerides. Those are literally substances that circulate throughout the bloodstream that could eventually lead to arteriosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, and further on down the line, major issues with your cardiovascular system. So what I'm trying to do is just let people just become aware that what you're doing hits you later on down the road.
Right.
Case in point, one of the fabulous things about your project is that you instill in young people to start at an early age to get their financial mindset in order.
Correct.
Don't wait till you broke.
Right.
Start now.
Yes.
Become aware, become financially literate.
That's right. Become.
Right. And what happens is this. I don't care how financially successful you are. If you don't have remember, we're not retiring anymore at 62.
No.
Because we don't even know if you know this better than I do, as far as the Social Security system,
Right.
it could be bankrupt.
We've talked about that.
If you're a 15-year-old now, or even a 21-year-old, by the time you reach 62, the Social Security system might not be there to give you a payout check. And that check will not be able to stay in your multi-cable assets that you have.
Right.
You want this type of option on your cable TV. You want to change your car every 2 years because you're used to that as a working person.
Right.
And your real estate keeps going up.
Of course.
So what my point is, if you want to keep up that same level of lifestyle, you're going to be working. People in your neighborhood, they're not retiring at 62.
Right, they're not.
My oldest student is 78, and I teach people as young as 7. The point is, what I do, MBC, mind-body connection, I literally take the best of the East and the best of the West. The Eastern being what I learned from the Shaolin Temple as far as internal power. We all have that. You have to learn to cultivate it, manifest it, and move it throughout your body. I'm going to show you some later on where you're going to learn mind-body control. Because diabetes and hypertension, a lot of it can be, especially hypertension, you're going to learn how to literally control your blood flow, your heart rate, and your breathing. That's it's great for people for relaxation in the stressful society that we live in, and also even kids or adults that have anger management issues. You could literally go from 100 plus beats all the way down to 70, 68 beats just through this mind-body exercise that I teach people how to do. But getting back to what's going on with the systemic problem in our society with the high fructose corn syrup, you know about farm aid, the government pays out to farmers. Farmers are paid because they've been on these farms for generations and generations and generations, and they were going broke. So they get a subsidy from the government to grow certain crops. The biggest crop that they've been growing is corn.
Right.
So instead of the government saying to the manufacturers of beverages and other foods that we eat like Kraft and so forth, instead of them having used sucrose or cane sugar, they have them using high fructose corn syrup.
Yes, we see that all the time.
And it's more prone to enable people, especially if you have a proclivity for it, to develop diabetes. If it runs in our community, it runs in a generation, or sometimes it'll skip a generation.
Right.
But if you start out with donut for breakfast, with the soda, or even just with people putting 4 sugars into their coffee and whatnot, what you're doing is you're revving your body up with 2 stimulants: the caffeine in the coffee and the sugar that's also in the coffee. So you're getting that same glycemic spike. You want your sugars to be more complex and dissolved, literally be assimilated into the bloodstream at a slower rate, so you don't get that famished feeling. Okay? And what happens is, because you have that fatty tissue that I told you about, the omentum, that's literally lodged there, people feel very lethargic. It's an ongoing thing. So you're not going to be able to enjoy the financial gains of your hard work unless you keep yourself up to speed.
Definitely.
And yes.
No, I was going to say that because I want to interject, but I'm going to let you go on. But I wanted to say this because as we're talking about just the high fructose and the corn syrup and what's these things that increase our fat tissue and body tissue and those things of that nature, I've been seeing something a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. This trans fat that you want to get at McDonald's.
Everybody's break it down for you. I can break it down for you.
I did my research, but I'm not that well versed and familiar, and I'm sure people are like, what is trans fat? Let's talk about why this is such a major hot topic.
I'll explain it to you that one of your younger pupils to a professor at your school could understand. A trans fat is when they take something that, okay, you heard of hydrogenized oils?
Yes.
Okay, fat-free margarine?
Yes.
Okay. What they do is they add a hydrogen atom to this particular molecule, and it makes it emulsified. So it makes it thick.
Right.
But here's what happens. That doesn't melt till it's 111 degrees Fahrenheit. Butter melts at 55 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
See where I'm going with this?
Right.
Your body natural level is 98.6.
Right.
Hence, when you slap your margarine on, when you have your chips that have the trans fat in it,
Right.
as it circulates throughout your bloodstream, after it's broken down from the stomach to the duodenum and gets circulating through your bloodstream, it never melts.
Right, because it never gets hot enough.
Right. Hence, you have this substance in your body. It can't get out of it because, as you know, when the body hits 104, 105, you go into convulsions.
Right.
So the trans fats never melt.
Wow.
So it stays as fat globules.
Like coagulates?
Here's what happens. You have platelets in the blood.
Right.
Platelets bang into these globulins of the trans fats,
Okay.
and they form what we call a inflammation state.
Okay.
The body thinks it's under attack. Here's where soda comes in again. If you're drinking soda, remember I told you earlier, the more acidic the person's blood is, the more prone they are to inflammatory type of conditions.
Okay.
When you have arteriosclerosis and plaque buildup on the walls of the aorta or other blood vessels, the white blood cells think that the plaque is being formed from the what they call the bad cholesterol, which is the LDL. Good cholesterol is HDL. HDL helps remove the bad cholesterol through the blood. But when you have trans fat lobbing on, it's like taking plaster and layering it on and layering it on. So you see what's happening. If you have a tube and you're constantly putting layers, you're narrowing the tube.
Correct.
Hence, as you know, when you squeeze a pipe, you increase pressure.
Right.
Hence, hypertension, high blood pressure.
Wow.
Okay? So trans fats are going to contribute to that. Okay, so that's why that people say, oh, there's no such thing as bad food, only food in moderation. No,
Right.
trans fat's bad food because it's never going to get out of you.
Right, right.
I mean, literally, it just circulates around until it finds a spot and it hangs out there.
Wow.
And then later on down the line, when you go for a CAT scan, they say, yeah, you have a carotid artery that's 90% blocked. That's why you've been passing out in public and so forth. And the same thing with diabetes. If you're a urinating freak, diabetes mellitus was found like 2000 BC by the Greeks, and what they found was people, that's what diabetes mellitus means. It means frequent urination. That's what the term actually means.
Okay.
And sugar in the urine. But here's the point. That's why we call it the silent killer, because you could walk around, like I'm a trainer all downtown. I train Club Reebok, Equinox, some of the facilities up here. But the point I'm making is, one of the good trainers I was with at Equinox, she passed out. Unbeknownst to her, when her husband took her to the emergency room, she was a diabetic, and her physician told her, you were probably a diabetic for a few years.
Wow.
But here's the warning symptoms. If you notice that you wolf down, let's say, pancakes and syrup, which is a lot of simple carbs and sugars.
Talk to me.
Okay?
I like some pancakes and
Right.
syrup, bro.
And you were famished earlier, like, you're out all night dancing and drinking, you, boom, wolf some of that down.
Yeah, I got it.
And you feel lethargic, and you get blurred vision. And you notice you go to sleep, you have night sweats. That's a sign that you might be already pre-diabetic. You're on the borderline.
I have a question. I have two, actually, and I'm glad you said that, because we go out at night. Tell me what this is, and if my people at home, if you've experienced this, please listen closely. Sometimes, I don't have the best eating habits. I try to eat healthy. When I say I don't have the best eating habits, I don't always eat maybe at a consistent time. So if it's 11, 12 o'clock at night, if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. How is it that sometimes I won't eat dinner? Oh, well, go to sleep, whatever. And I wake up the next morning, I'm hungry, but I feel like I can still start my day. Sometimes I'll eat 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, come from the club or the lounge or whatever, and I'll eat, at a late night diner, go to sleep, and be starving at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, how am I hungry when I just ate at 1 o'clock in the morning and I feel like I haven't eaten in 3 days?
I'll tell you why. You generally, after a night of partying, okay, you don't tend to eat, let's say, egg whites and tea.
Right.
You tend to have something more heavy. Like a lot of people used to go to White Castle and so forth. Those are saturated fats. Okay, they literally just get converted to triglycerides and adipose tissue fat. Okay, so here's the point. You've been sleeping. You weren't up and about utilizing the calories that you ingested. What does the body do? It stores the calories. It stores it as fat. So when Earl gets up in the morning and he knows he has to be at this place, appointment here, appointment there, what happens is you say to your body, I need to go. And your body says, no, we don't have enough fuel. Your body can't convert fat as readable ATPs, that's units of energy, quick enough. It needs simple sugars, sucrose. That's why an apple or a banana preferably, because a banana will have simple sugars and it'll also have electrolytes like potassium to get you going. It takes the body too long to convert the Mickey D's and the White Castle from the night, from the 6 hours before.
All right.
Hence, even though you ingested maybe 900 calories of saturated fat, your body can't convert that 900 calories into readable ATP energy on a whim. Like, oh, I'm late. You go in the shower, boom, boom, boom. Your body's still saying, we can't convert it that fast. That's why one of the biggest things sometimes when you're on the train and they'll say sick passenger, and usually it's in the morning during the rush hour, that's a person that rushed out the house without a substantial amount of simple sugars in their system. In your liver, you have what's called a glycogen supply. That's your readable energy amount of simple sugar that your body is going to shoot out there. Okay? When the body depletes that, it looks for other stores for energy. One of them is fat, and the other, if you're really famished, it'll actually start to take muscle. That's why after you work out, you should always have, within an hour after you work out, if you're a man, 6 ounces of quality protein, whether it's tuna, tofu, turkey, lean meat.
I'm happy to hear that. I've been going to the gym every day now. You know, I got myself on a regimen. Just had that first 2 weeks. And afterwards, you know, I drink a Gatorade to get those electrolytes because it's much better than water. I can see the difference.
But be careful with Gatorade. Did you read what's on the bottle?
Wow.
It's sweetened with high fructose corn syrup. If you look at the label, after you see water, high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, it kills me. Here's the next question, and then I'm going to let you get into some demonstrations, if you will. I heard this, and it makes complete sense, but since you're here and this is what you do, you'll, of course, be able to validate it. I've recently heard that it's not good to drink cold water. You know, cold water sometimes tastes so good, but when you eat, sometimes you eat a meal, you eat dinner, you eat lunch, and it may be hot food, chicken, whatever, and then you drink cold water. And I heard on the radio, when you consume foods have fried foods, oils, fatty acids, or whatever.
Right.
When you drink the cold water, it's like it doesn't melt. It causes maybe the food to coagulate.
Okay, what they're referring to is emulsification of the fats.
Okay.
Okay. The fat will stay as globules. When you take cold water, what you're doing is you're prolonging the process of the peptic acid and the gastric juices to break down those fats. So it's not that detrimental if you have a cold beverage, but if you do have a condition of gastritis or some type of abdominal ailment of your digestive system, your physician will recommend not to have ice cold beverages with a fatty meal. That's essentially what they're saying. But what the job of the pancreas and the bile, the bile duct which is in the liver, it secretes bile which helps emulsify the fats. Like when you spill grease on a surface and you try to get it off with water and it goes nowhere, but then you put soap and it emulsifies and you're able to take it off. That's what the gastric juices in your pancreas and your gallbladder does for you.
So now you've been hearing some very, very viable information, you know, because we all want to be healthy, and I know I've learned some things, and it's very important to be mindful because we don't always hear this in our community. So we've been talking about, you know, about 20 minutes now, 22 minutes, and Sifu is going to demonstrate a few exercises or just a few mechanics, if you will, that may be able to enhance your existence, your spirit, and your body. And of course, if you like what you see, he may be ready to assist you in getting your body just to that state that you are, and your mind and your spirit, because all three have to be connected. So, if you want to show us what we were talking about.
Well, a lot of people make the excuse that I don't have any room in my apartment and so forth to work out.
Okay.
What I do is literally we're going to take our own body and use it, a mind-body connection, so that we get to use our internal power, our chi. If you notice, for instance.
Okay.
If you feel my hands, they're sore.
Okay.
It's located here at the Tantian. All right. I'm 215 pounds. I'm going to flick my entire body up, off my knuckles, on my wrist, which has those 8 floating bones, which literally would smash if it wasn't for how I regulate my chi and let it flow from my Tantian through my arms and literally numb this area and feel the energy. So now, right here, you're just going to see me go down to a push-up position. And as you can see, and that's just through the internal power. Now, in just a small area like this, you can get your kids involved in this. These are just some movements from what we call the Hung system, and it's what people like to refer to as Gong Fu from the 5 animal system, but it also gets you going early in the morning, and it's very simple, just some simple movements from here. And as you see, my heart rate's up.
Yes.
Actually, my sebaceous glands, sweat, starting to happen. So when people tell you, I can't work out, I mean, well, right now, you take my pulse, probably beating something about 110.
Okay.
And what did I do? 15, 20 seconds?
Right, right.
But the point I'm making is, look at the box.
Right.
Your vestibule.
Very
So,
small.
like I said, I'm like a doctor that makes house calls. I go into people's homes, and I basically say to them, let's see what you have.
Right.
I get the kids involved,
Okay.
the father, the mother, grandparents. Like I said, my oldest students are in their late 70s, and I have a pair of 7-year-old twins, and everybody in between. Law enforcement people, they rely too much on the gun. Heard about that tragedy?
Right.
What I do, I teach people a technique called China. China means seize and control. Let's just have your hand for a second. Tell me if you feel something.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now, there's 71 other spots that just with the mere pressure of a finger, you could make one side of the body go numb and the other.
Wow.
So cops, they go to the academy, first thing with the gun. I have law enforcement people that train with me as well. So you see, Kung Fu and what I do, MBC, mind-body connection, it takes the best of the East and the West, so you can get something out of it, whether you have perfect health, you learn self-defense, you enhance your quality of life, your range of motion, flexibility, coordination. Those steps that I do, if you remember back in the day, Bruce Lee, before he came to this country, he was Hong Kong's cha-cha champ.
Right.
And people say, well, how's he that? Because if you see a move, like that was just a small cop.
Right.
You see someone who I'm mic'd up so I can't move around. I do twirling kicks, full splits. The point is, when you take a classic dance step like cha-cha, foxtrot, even hip-hop, it's nothing compared to what we do in Kung Fu. I've done music videos, as you know, for Wyclef Jean, the late Cecilia Cruz, DMX, back in the day, Cool G Rap. Okay, that's what got me into the business of doing stunt work for films like I told you, Die Hard 3 and so forth, and I also with the United Stuntman Association.
Right.
But the point is, what I do is aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
Right.
And the other thing is that kids at school get bullied. Very simple. Ladies, kids, you're in a parking lot at night, the pen, excellent implement. Somebody come and smack me in the face, Go slow. Put your hand and smack me in the face. 1, 2.
Oh, man.
See what I did? This is called nerve point. You take the pen here. Stop here. The blood vessels here. Pop. Here. And then from here, don't want to maim, you go to the eye. You don't want to maim too bad, then go to the throat. Okay? Same thing with kids. Coming home from school, a bully's coming to bother you. They reach out for your hand. Reach out for my hand. From here, pop. Okay? Switch, pop. Okay? See, karate does this. They block, strike. In Kung Fu, we block, strike at the same time. We don't waste motion. Like if somebody grabs my wrist hard, from here, I'm literally just going to go like this. One can do this with ease. From here, break, elbow right into the eye.
Wow.
And as you're coming back, slam into the face and take off. Boom. 1, 2, 3. So you can take something as simple like that, and as long as the person has moderate amount of a matter of fact, I've taught people in wheelchairs. So my point is, you check out the contact number at the end, and I come out and I customize a program for you. Simple as that. No matter what age, what your physical state is. What I do is I enhance your lifestyle.
Yes.
Okay? The other thing is reading labels. I'm going to teach you the back of the label, like, I'll give you an example. Whole grain bread.
Right.
Be careful. The actual grain, the wheat berry as it's called, has 3 layers. It has a bean, the outside. The second layer is the endosperm, and the middle is the germ. That's when you hear people say, I had some wheat germ.
Right.
Because that's like the yolk of the egg.
Gotcha.
It has the most nutrients and the most essence. So here's what they'll tell you. They'll say wheat bread. Read the label. If after the word ingredient you just see 2 colons, and then you see sugar, you see molasses, then you see wheat, that's not whole wheat bread. The first ingredient after the word ingredient should say whole wheat. That's how you know you're getting the entire berry. You're getting the germ, you're getting the endosperm, and you're getting the bean. Okay. Otherwise, you're just getting the hull. Here's what else bakers do. They'll take molasses and throw it in to the batter and use a minimal amount of wheat, and because the molasses gives the bread a brown color, people think that they're getting a wheat bread.
Wow.
Okay? So that's another thing you have to be aware of. Now, as far as working out, here's what resistance training does. That's what people call bodybuilding, but it's actually resistance training.
I like resistance training with the bands. I like that.
See, when you use weights, that's resistance training. Let me explain. Bodybuilding, as America call it, remember, I do, kind of technical. I've been doing this for a while. Right. I have like 4 certifications in my degree, but more importantly, I could break it down to a 5-year-old or to a professor. Here's the thing. When you apply resistance to a muscle, the myotissue breaks down and it's built back up to become more stronger. With people that have insulin resistance, diabetes, high blood pressure, it makes your pipes go like this. You want your pipes to be more elastic, okay? What bodybuilding does, resistance training does, it enables the body to manage the sugar flow between the bloodstream and the cells. Inside each cell is the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
Right.
That's where energy is transferred. People that have diabetes, they have problems. That's what's called insulin resistant. Their cells resist getting the insulin.
Gotcha. Okay.
Bodybuilding, weight training, resistance training, women out there, osteoporosis, take your vitamin D3, not D1. One a day just as D1. D3 is the more, it's the more, shall we say, efficient vitamin D.
Okay.
When it's taken in the presence of calcium, all of the calcium is absorbed directly into the long bones of the arms and legs, where women need it so they don't suffer from loss of bone density, osteoporosis.
Okay.
So that and resistance training for women, I also put together programs for that as well. Okay. I do groups of ladies. I also work with the SHARE group, breast and ovarian cancer survivors, and I'm the health and wellness person as well. Okay. So my point is, I can affect all people from all age groups and demographics.
Excellent.
You get the contact information, come out. I do a free evaluation for you and your group.
Excellent.
And soup to nuts, from nutrition to just getting yourself up to speed for a more bountiful and fruitful life.
Beautiful, beautiful. My people at home, if you're not where you are health-wise, if you want to be better, you want to live longer, you want to live a more efficient, healthy lifestyle, I hope you learned something from some of the information. Read those labels. Definitely, if you're interested, reach out to Sifu. You've heard the information, you've seen the demonstration. He can surely help get you on the path of righteousness as far as your holistic wealth, health, and wellness, being, mind, body, and soul. Urban Wall Street Project, we're going to keep bringing it to you. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Get your mind right. Us. Tune in next time. Peace.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are we off?
Yeah, everybody be off.